Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Top Bins is back. Like I said last time, we're all over the world right now. You know, international breaks happen for podcasts too, but we're back. It's Christmas season. We have a very special guest tonight. We're going to get to that, but I go by the name of Fully the Mayor Ghost, aka the host with the most. Kyle Killer Lightborn is here. He's back. He's been touring all over the world. You've been England, you've been Greece, little golf in Orlando. What's up, Killer?
Everything's good, man. I've been all over the world, like you said. I'm back.
You're back. Were you here for the knockout the other day, or were you overseas?
I was there.
Okay, so we're gonna put some blame on you,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that. And our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever watched local football, um, lady, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this man is a almost a local legend in the coaching fraternity. Um, did he ever play?
Of course
He did play. Yeah, I
he
know.
played in the
Roughing him
same
up.
under 20 team.
Okay. If you cut this man open, I think he bleeds orange and brown and black. He probably bleeds orange and
Got a
black.
little blue in there
He's
too.
got a little blue in there.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have ever been to a Devonshire Colts game, you know who we're talking about. He was your right hand man for the Gold Cup run.
Yeah.
He is trying to revitalize and revolutionize the Devonshire Colts recreation club. He is none other than Mr. Ray Jones. How you doing tonight, Ray?
Yeah, I'm good. Good evening.
Appreciate you joining us.
Glad to be here.
We are going to talk about so many things, but let us start. You're in your orange and black. You probably just come from training. Devonshire Colts off to a flyer this year. We talked about it on the show that when the transfer market in Bermuda was done, it almost looked like you had gone for depth this year. You had a solid team last year. I think you finished in the top four, if not just missed it.
Just missed.
And I felt like at the end of last season when I watched Village unfortunately win the league on your patch, you just ran out of players. What's it like this year? What did you do? What was the summer plan?
Well, you hit it right on the head. We as a technical group sat down and assessed last season and realized we lacked quality depth. And then we targeted the areas where we needed improvement. So our goal scoring conversion was very low, below 40%. So we knew we needed to go get some forwards. Um, and it was very clear if George went down injured, we were in a bad space at the back. So we went about recruiting a few defenders to strengthen. So yeah, we were very calculated. It's probably been a long time since Devonshire Colts has been calculated in the transfer market. But with the current executive looking to push the club back to the glory days, basically we were all on the same page, and that was the strategy.
Okay, so you added quality depth. One thing I have always said, and you're here, so I'm going to ask you. When other teams sign players, you'll see people leave Dandytown and go to PHC with Lighty. You will see people leave Village and go to Crossroads, or leave Crossroads and go to St. George's. When Devonshire Colts dip into the transfer market every summer, usually it's one or two, maybe three players. This year you had a few more. It's always somebody that's a Devonshire Colts player going back to Devonshire Colts. Is that a strategy or is that just the way it is?
Now that's a strategy. We tell players once you're a coach, you're always a coach. That's your hand, especially if they came up through our youth program. So, people leave for different reasons. It could be timing, 16, 17. The nucleus of the team is too strong. People want playing time.
Yeah.
The team itself, it was not as successful as the ambitions that individuals want. But the door's always open, especially if you left on it and a good foot. So yeah, we target Devonshire Coast players to come back because they understand the DNA and the culture of the club, and basically we want to continue
Like, Lady, you talk a lot about that with PHC, where you want certain players. You don't want anybody. You want certain players. So, can you echo as a coach and in your role at PHC now how important it is?
Yeah, that's very important because of your upbringing and the way the club is run, you know, um very, very important to your whole structure. And that's why PhD has been successful for so long because of that. And it's been more difficult for Devonshire Colts, like we were talking off air, with them not being having to earn ground and stuff like that. That has a big play in it, and that sort of hurt PHC when they moved away from not playing at PHC. PHC was known for the under the lights,
Stadium
stadium
name,
lane, and once that disappeared, a lot of the
Pemberton and Warwick.
yeah, a lot of the nostalgia around PHC sort of disappeared. Everybody looked forward to playing at PHC.
And I don't know how many of our listeners, we have a very diverse listening range, from the young kids who are sort of at the end of the high school right up to, people that have watched you guys play and you guys played against. Might not remember on Frog Lane, there was a field where National Sports Center Northfield is, which was the home field of Devonshire Colts growing up. It was Frog Lane Field. Ray, speak about you're at Police Field, and I'm sure you're more than thankful to be there. But in my opinion, and I don't mean to insult anybody, maybe a proper groundsman has coach looked to take over that. Have are there talks or
Well, let's backtrack a bit. I think we should educate the people that because they probably don't know anything about Frogland unless they're in our age bracket. But that to what Lady said, Lady remember coming down Frogland. It was not going to be an easy year because basically that was our spot, right? Frogland had a certain little vibe. You drove down into the
yep,
field,
surrounded by
surrounded by
trees?
the trees, and at the little bank. So you had the committee that was on the bank. It really created a real atmosphere. And the whole program was there.
Yep,
We trained there, the youth program,
it
and
was
obviously
Devonshire Colts.
Sundays. And on a weekend, I would remember as a kid leaving home to play minors, leaving Frogland on a Saturday in the dark
Yep,
because of Lions, and then come back Sunday to support the team. And then when I became 16, became that player playing in the team in Frogland. It was a dream for any coach, youth player, to be playing in Frogland. And we had a few groundsmen that at one point the patch we used to call it Vamby because you could roll the ball and it was true. Ever since we had to move due to the development of the National Sports Center and obviously bigger picture for the country, I think that had a negative detriment. The program, have been bouncing all over the place, finding places to train and play. As you probably remember, St. George's was our airfield, St. David's was our airfield, White Hill was our airfield. We were all over the place. Um, and we did have a relationship with police even when we was at Frog Lane because a lot of the police officers used to send their kids to
okay.
Devonshire Coast. Because I don't know if you remember the green houses that used to go on the
Mm-hmm.
stretch. So a lot of police officers used to stay in those houses. It was easy for the kids to just come out the door and come right down into the training ground. So yeah, so I had the relationship with police. I would say it's been a strong relationship, but then over time people come and go. So fast forward to where we are now. Um, yeah, probably if we had a bit more control, we could make the surface a bit better than what it is. We have in-house expertise, but we're tenants, not the landlord. And Lighty probably from his cricket days could remember Peacefield was probably one of the truer pitches in the outfield because it used to be a beautiful surface back in the day. Um, I say cricket because police used to be in second division, so most people wouldn't remember it as a football pitch, but remember it more as a cricket pitch.
When I came up, they were
Yeah.
prospect in the first division.
Yeah, prospect police. Yeah, I used to wear police
Yeah,
before they became
well,
Yeah.
prospect, right?
even police field was limited to Premier Division football at one stage.
Yes, yes.
I think Hotels was
Hotels, yes.
probably one of the teams that played there, but not a lot of Premier Division teams played at Police Field. When I was coming up, following PHC, I don't even playing. I don't even think I played at Police Field when I was coming through. That was like a second division field, and that's when Colts was at Frog Lane. I remember playing at Frog Lane, battles with Colts, and but yeah, times have changed, and field conditions probably not changed that much, but times have changed.
So we're gonna see some fundraisers, maybe get you guys to take over the plot. Because one thing I noticed this year, and I don't remember specifics. I believe Dandy Tom plays Social Club up there on a Saturday. The grass was up around shin height. Colts played there the next day, and at least the field had been cut.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So I'm very particular with what I want, and so someone called me because I wasn't at the social club Danny Cove match and told me, um, no, let me backtrack. I think that game was on FIFA Plus or something.
mm,
And my son called me from overseas to say, "There's no way you guys are playing up there tomorrow." Right? So I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I got on my bike and rode up there. And it was like, "Oh no, that's not happening." So at that point, we took matters into our own hands, and you believe it or not, the field got cut underneath the lights that
I
night,
believe
so that it could be in a more playable condition
probably
the next day.
probably the best time to cut that field is
Yeah,
under the lights.
yeah.
But a strong start for the Devonshire Colts, boosted by, I believe he's running away with the Golden Boot right now. Early season, about halfway through now. Sinaj
Yeah,
Mitchell,
we got him play.
we call him. Okay, he's lighting it up top, but it's been a team effort. Talk to me about Colts and your additions.
Yeah, no, the additions has even helped in training. Um, you know, Coach has a culture of a lot of nice fellas. Fellas, I tease them all the time. You could go knock on the door and introduce yourself to someone's mother, and they'll welcome them in, right? So, Coach guys are beautiful, beautiful young men. And the company additions that were added has actually brought what I feel has been missing. Just a little bit of nastiness when you need
Mhm.
it at the critical time. And they brought it right into training. So the intensity in training, it's at levels. If you come there, sometimes you be like, hey, are these guys got to play on Sunday? But I think that's been the difference because that intensity is going right into the games itself. So if you've seen us play, we play at a pretty, what I would say, high tempo um, pace, and a lot of that is based on how we train, and a lot of that has come from the additions. Few of the targeted additions, if I want to single one or two, would be Jermaine and Zade having recently won the league with Dandyton.
Right.
So having them in train and speaking to what was required to be league champions has helped the intensity to improve. Um, Elijah coming from Cougars, having won a few trophies, haven't yet won the league, but having won a few trophies. So it's taken our training, I would say, physicality to another level. Technically, we're still doing what we do, but the physicality piece, and I think that's what you're seeing so far in the season.
One question on Elijah: was he a coach boy, or is he just come?
No, but he did play for us in the under 23s, and I kept tabs on him. And you know, every postseason since then, just to see how he's doing. With when they did see Cougars play, we talked to him after the game about his game, what they saw he did well, and what he could improve on. So we always kept a relationship. Um, I guess it's all in the timing. I think as you know, Cougars were in the transition and coaching, and in one of them post summer conversations was like, what's your thoughts? From there, just moved very quickly. Yeah,
Yeah, he's again a quality forward signing. He's been scoring some goals. Sanaj obviously is
yeah,
the goal scorer, I guess you could call him, the main man. But the two of them together, you're currently, I believe, 1 point off the top with a game in hand.
correct.
So you're right in the mix, which I know you love because you're a coach that lives the game. You feel the game. You're involved in every kick, every throw in.
I've gotten a little better. I've gotten a little better. A little better.
I want to talk about when you got booked at the Gold Cup on the bench. The only assistant coach got booked from Bermuda.
Yeah,
But
you know,
like
but you can talk about it.
but like I said, you live every kick, and
Yeah,
fair is fair, and you
yeah,
you fight for your boys.
yeah,
So, Ray, one thing we have to ask you about, you said you brought in some players with a little nastiness. First game of the season. I know that's not you. You don't like that. You don't stand for that. Um, but what my concern is the association hasn't acted yet, have they? You
yeah. They have,
they
they have,
have?
they have,
Okay.
they have. Both clubs have acted. The association has acted. I know the public would like to know, and I think that would be down to the clubs and not the association. I think, if I'm correct, a few years ago, I can't remember the time frame. Unfortunately, the media would take the sanctions and turn them into a whole different story. So I think there was a decision not to release it publicly. But if a club wanted to release it publicly, because the club would know what the
Yeah.
sanction is, then it would be up to the club, and not so much the association. So yeah, it's been dealt with. Um, so yeah, just leave it at that at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Again, not something that you support or that.
Oh no, we basically met with the players the very next day. Um, Regardless of what instigated it, you always take a deep breath and say, "Well, how could you have managed that differently?" Um, because whether you want to be a role model or not, you're a role model. Um, some of our players are involved in coaching the junior team. On the night, we had some players, youth players, walk out with the
Right.
senior team, because North Village was basically opening the pitch as for the first league match. So, we had to do a little reflection, and let's be honest, right? We all know what's going on in the country right now for young people, antisocial behavior. Um, so that was a real conversation. It's like, hey, we got to manage that. Their scenario is a heck of a lot better because our young people are on the edge and they can't be looking up to us, and we're portraying that's the way how you deal with something that you're not
Right.
happy with. Um, Glad to say, hasn't been an instant even close to what took place. Um, so move on.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, we're not trying to hold on
yeah,
to it, but
yeah,
like you said, the public, if they're unaware, they're going to hold on to it
yeah,
because you get the conversations if it was another club, blah blah
yeah,
blah, which
yeah,
is perfectly
yeah,
fine to say. But it's good to hear that it has been dealt with, because I was prepared for you guys to be in a title race in the middle of late March and they suspend your three players from that. But I did mention the Gold Cup, Lighty. I want you to as the head coach, Ray was your right hand man. What a run it was, getting there, being there. A little bit of hooliganism in the hotel in Texas, but we won't talk about that. What a ride it was. What did Ray offer to you as a assistant coach?
I first belief, because he's a believer in what we're doing and what we were trying to do. We guys went through a lot
A lot.
from molding that team from we saw the vision. Like when I look back to when we played against Aruba the first time and we lost 3-1, and two, the development of the team, and the BFA brought in the stats that we can pull up to the players and we could show them. Um, that helped us a lot to grow. And leading up to the Girl Cup, we were able to put things in place and introduce new things to players that, like some of the professionals that we were introducing different tactics. They were like a little baffled about it at first, but once they got the concept of it, it started to grow. That's why I was traveling a lot and going to England and being able to see things firsthand, um, with clubs at a higher level. And Ray gave us that belief. I remember the meetings that we had. Um, we guys meetings start at 9 o'clock, finish at like 1:30 in the morning up at BFA office. Talking tactics, doing it like we even Scott Morton, Maurice Lowe. And people thinking, what's wrong with these guys up here this late? But we were full in, and it was getting down to the nitty gritty of picking the team. And we had a couple guys hanging around that we were like, are they gonna make it? They're not gonna make it, and that's when Ray showed his true colors and said, yeah. He kept saying to me, Lady, you got this guy wrong. I don't think it's good enough. I said, don't worry, you'll separate him. And sure enough, we gave him the fitness specials and all of that. I can remember one day that we were training up at the stadium, and the cricket team was watching us train, and they were like in disbelief of the amount of running and work that these guys were doing. They're like, "Oh, this is going on!" Like, yeah, the race special knock guys out to see if you really wanted to make it or not. You know,
So Ray, when Lighty calls to be his assistant coach, is it a no brainer for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like he highlighted earlier, right? This relationship goes all the way back to youth football,
Right.
right? And then, and yeah, might as well go there. And what gunners. So, when a gunner calls up a gunner, a gunman must show up and
Yes,
answer the
sir.
call. So definitely it was definitely a no brainer. It started because I was obviously involved with the National Academy coaching the 17s and 20s, and basically just morphed into this lady was putting together. So it was absolutely a no brainer.
So an absolute. I mean, you guys were the coaches. I'm gonna ask you from a fan's point of view that attended the games, traveled with the team. We were in the cities, countries. It was. I told Reggie Lamb this, and it's no disrespect. I have the vision of him, the still image against Costa Rica in the first half when he had that chance.
yeah.
And if we score that, I feel like we win the game just off what happened. It was an amazing experience. Just real quick, talk to me about what it was like as a coaching team. That you know, what was it like?
We done a lot of work. I'm serious. We done a lot of work, a lot of studying of teams, and you know, putting things like sometimes we didn't see the picture the first time, so we had to watch the opposing team a couple times, and then you go and sleep on it, and it just clicks. Like you said, the Costa Rica. Costa Rica played a way that no other team that were played against played, and you couldn't see it the first time. You couldn't really see what they were trying to do. Yeah, and I watched the tape because they played against Nicaragua, and they easily beat Nicaragua, right? And we had this mentality of, so what? We don't care. We're gonna go toe to toe with whoever we play against, and that was our mentality, and we put it across to the players. And you're going on about that game. The game that hurts even more is
First one.
the first
The
one,
first one.
because I look at the highlights of that first game. I ain't gonna lie, we should have been maybe 4-2 up in that first half. They didn't. We were 1-0 up. We should have been 4-2 up. And I think of the moment that Zico should have went down for the penalty. He didn't. He stumbled, and we didn't score from it. Right. And I think that was a big moment in the game. Like, we missed 4 or 5 chances in that game, and it came back to haunt us. You know, in the end. So that moment right there, it really, really, like, I think about it over and over, and it's like things could be so. It's 2 moments for me, and then when we go to Mexico, you know,
Jeez.
and we tweaked the tactics a little bit in Mexico, I mean, we guys had breathing, difficulties. We were walking around with one of them.
You were what, 800 feet high? Something like that?
We were higher than that, man. Hey, but anyway, the players gave us everything they can. The players that and to let in a goal against Mexico after them beating us 5-1 in Bermuda to make it 2-1 last kick of the game. That those are moments that you look back and you're like, man, if only, you know, little Bermuda. I guess our best night was another one in Panama. Panama beat us 4-1 in Bermuda. We turn around and play them 4 days later, and we beat them 2 nothing.
Now I have a question because you and I were close friends. Ray and I were more acquaintances. We're gunners. That's our
Yeah,
affiliation. Who was behind? Because one thing about G-Lot's Bermuda team, when you lost to a team, if you had to turn around and play them again, you had a very good record in the second game. So who's behind that?
So I'm gonna speak here, right? So we got to a point where we were over arrogant at him,
Mm-hmm.
and
Still are.
I probably pushed Letty a bit more at in the hand game because the Gladys said belief got to the point that I just thought we could beat anybody, and I'm like, when, like I'm believing in this man's vision, right? So we were too wide open that hand. He was just like, you know what? One man, bang, bang, bang. And then, obviously you got humble. And like Lady said, it ran their days off. Wendy left here. Wendy left was studying and was studying and was studying. And Lady would come up with, this is what we're going to do. And then you reflect, and, what you've been studying, has come up with the master plan. And then, like he said, it clicks.
Right.
And then everybody knows the rule in that, right? And then we take times speaking to the players, right? So like they would lay out the grand plan, and then you'd have I meet with the players, Morty would meet with the players, sort of reinforcing what I'm saying. So it was a real team effort. And when we went on the road, like just anything, you got a bit more conservative,
Mm-hmm.
and we became red dogs more than we were hand
yeah.
dogs, right?
Yeah.
But
But I'll take the blame for the head games. I had to push them in there. Like, yeah, we can take these guys.
yeah,
Accountability.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's like we adapted that. We're saying like I remember when we were in the Girl Cup and we watched the first game. It was Cuba versus I don't know Mexico or someone, and they lost 7-0. And we said we're gonna lose 7-0. We're gonna end up fighting for you. We're gonna, I'm not. They didn't even lay a glove on them and they lost 7-0. I said that's not happening to us.
No, sir.
No, sir. It's not happening to us, and that's the mentality that we took throughout the Gold Cup, and we sort of took it in. What messed us up the first game was against Panama. Was it?
No. Hey.
No, I mean
Oh.
in the Nations League,
Got you.
Panama changed their coach
New manager
a
bounce.
couple days before.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
everything that we had started,
Yeah.
He changed.
it was a
New
different.
guy. It was a new guy.
But once, like you said, once we, you done that to us?
Yeah.
No, what counteracting that? We changed. Remember, we brought Trey in for that game.
Yeah.
We brought Donovan in with the pace, and we hit him on the counterattacks. And we
2-6s.
Yeah.
Because we had Trey and
Roger.
Who scored the goals that night down
He
in Panama?
scored both of them. And to be honest, Reggie played the best ball I've
Yeah.
ever seen
I
in
remember
my
that.
life for the first goal.
We were at shout out to Kawande because me and B were down at the Docksiders watching
Yeah.
it.
I mean, he played this ball. It went between two defenders and just straight to Zico, what we call the Bermuda goal. Zico slipped the course to Naki and tapped it in, and it's like, wow. Things that we talked about in training and how we could score goals because we're not got the biggest guys.
No.
So we,
Lady, I don't think I'm ever asked you this. What's your proudest moment in football? Coaching, playing? What's your proudest moment in football?
Scoring that goal against El Salvador. I don't think I could top that.
The 1-0 up the garbage?
No, the 1-0. As long as I play football, like the emotion behind it for your country, all of that, that's probably my highest. It's not the biggest stage or whatever, but it's the moment that I look back in my football career. I scored a header from 12 or maybe 12 to 13 yards out, to win the game. Like that's a moment I'll never forget.
I was there.
It is-
No, yeah, I was a kid. Absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah.
But garbage celebration, mate. Jesus.
What? Run the whole length. That's it.
Mr. Jones, proudest moment in football, because before I ask you, you've done some things. People don't know. One thing I would like to hear your answer first, and then I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question.
My proudest moment has to be um, the year that we qualified for the Gold Cup
Yeah?
because my thing is if you do things locally and nobody knows you internationally, what were you? That's my motto. So to actually do something for your country, and you can't take that away. We could be this small little dot in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but the whole world stood up and took notice.
Small
So
but mighty.
yeah, and so for me, that's the proudest moment for me.
First division, triple crown wasn't.
No, I mean, I tell you, I used to brag about the FA Cup and that triple crown thing, but I had moved on once combining with Lighty, and then somebody asked me the other day, the 16 and I say if I had to rank them, it's the Gold Cup, that triple you spoke about, and then the 16 and that's how hard it
That
actually
was
was.
16 wins,
Yeah,
right?
16 wins.
You
Yeah,
won every game.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
No, I gotta ask you guys. We're talking about the Gold Cup. You were the coaches behind taking us there, putting on a great show. Do you still watch Bermuda play? I mean,
Uh,
you obviously should because you have children or a child involved in the setup. But do you guys watch Bermuda play? And I'm gonna start with you, Ray. When the draw was made for this round, even the whole World Cup qualifying, in my opinion, I haven't really spoke on this. This was the one World Cup shot that we should have been prepared for. I feel like with the big three already there from the CONCACAF region, it's our best chance. At least it's our best chance we've ever had. Were we prepared for it? Did you watch the games? Were you okay with what you saw? I'd like your opinion on our recent World Cup qualifying.
So I'm going to take you back even further. So
Okay,
when the um, nations were named, who was hosting, I'll never let him remember the meeting. You see me Saturday mornings up at the BFA. And I stood up way back there, there's years ago, at that announcement that's our opportunity right there.
agreed.
The top three were out, and the expansion of teams,
Yes,
the trajectory we were on, that was I picked this World Cup campaign as a campaign that we should have really been knocking on the door, or should have qualified, quite frankly. Yeah.
so
But I will say this, and because I've never really spoken out publicly, but it's my opportunity that the public, because we're short members, right? So the Gold Cup, I think the whole country was a buzz. Not even football enthusiasts, just people. They were so proud to be Bermudian. And this thing called COVID that none of us in the world knew how to deal with. And during that time, we were still trying to play football matches. The inability to train, the inability to pick your best players because if you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't travel.
fly.
And for some strange reason, Joe Public decided that it was time for a change and not taking into consideration the preparation we were doing that made the country so happy in the Gold Cup. We didn't have the ability to do. but we still were supposed to go and play international football at a high level. The countries we were competing against, because Canada was in our group, had the ability to fly the best players around the little COVID scenario and get them as a squad to train a little bit. We didn't.
Right.
We couldn't have more than 10 people in the same space. So you put two coaches there, you're down to 8 players at a time. What really can you do, right? So always wished somebody would have asked me, about the whole thing because I think Joe Public is an apology. And I'm being frank about it because you never took in consideration that the preparation during that period was eliminated, but we were still forced because the FIFA games were organized, right? So now back to the conversation. I think it was a missed up. This campaign was a missed opportunity. Um, and I'm gonna digress a little bit. Philadelphia's from Bermuda, right?
Yes, sir.
Philadelphia is a multiple world champion, right?
Yes, sir.
Philadelphia is an Olympic champion.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask you again. She's from Bermuda.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we can accomplish anything, anything, right? And I make reference to that all the time. To me, being small is powerful because that's what we already know who our best athletes are. Just prepare them correctly, and then we go about the business.
So I'm going to ask you a question that I've been wanting to ask people that would probably know for a long time on air. It always seems to be, and no discredit to Flora. Flora has done things that no other Bermudian has done. Everybody knows I know her personally. I love her. Why is it always the team sports don't seem to get the preparation and the backing and everything that's needed? The solo sports, they do it themselves a lot of the times, and we show up at the end and say, congratulations, let's take a picture. The team sports, obviously, it's more difficult because you're playing against bigger countries. I mean, I always use the reference Mexico has got 65,000 people want to play striker. We got 65,000 men, women, and children. Why is it the team sports don't get what they need from the associations? And it's not just football.
Mm.
Why is that? From somebody that's been there.
I would say it's basically as a country, we love sports, but I shouldn't let me we put money into sports,
Yes, yeah.
but it's not enough money. Bottom line, it's not enough money that goes into preparations. My parting thing with the association that Ray was in the meeting was if you want to be big time, you got to be ready to be big time. Like when they're saying that we're no longer going to be the coaches, whoever you're bringing in, you have to back this person to the hill. You know, um, the now current coach, I don't think it's been backed the way he should have been backed. You're going into major tournaments and you're not got players for periods of time, locking them down and being able to know that every move. We're going in, and I know it's the way international football operates, but we had players that you're picking from in Bermuda um, that the fitness levels are not high enough. We know that from the beginning. You know what I mean? You got players playing different parts of the world, and you know they're not playing to the level that they should be. And that's the biggest letdown that happens sometimes. And I'm not saying I'm blaming this person or that person, but for football to be for us to go to the next level, it's the preparation. It's like, okay, let's stop putting all this money all over the place and let's build an infrastructure that's gonna last forever. You understand? I've
What
spoke about that.
what does that infrastructure look like? Like,
Whereas players need treatment. One of the biggest things for local football and all that, when people get injured.
right.
When people get injured, the recovery, the things that they need to get them back, the fitness levels that we need to be at. Like international football now, you need to be fit all year round. no days off. You know, we have players that work. We know that. We right now the quarantine. It's maybe if it's 2023 that they pick, at least 16 of them are coming from overseas,
Hmm.
right? What about the other players that are here in Bermuda that are, not at that level? So when we were getting ready for the Gold Cup, when the key came back and he joined the group, which he needed time off because he had that, and he was like, "Hey, these guys are fitter than me because we put the work in." Saji, bless his soul, I pulled him aside and I said, "Saji, you got all the ability in the world. If you don't pull your finger out, you're not going on this trip."
He's the one that stands out to me.
He
He,
was
he was
one
the
of our
one that
best players.
the fitness
Yeah,
side of things.
because we forced him to. Saji, you need to be fit. You're not going to come up against people that you can't boss them if you're not fit. And he was able to get up and down that park, get all over the place. Him and Willie Clemens. A fit Willie Clemens was,
What a ball against Nicaragua.
hey, and then that game, Morty was the guy that stood up in the stands and he was like, for 15 minutes, like, take Sergio off. Sergio's got to come because he gave a couple balls
Yeah.
away. And I said, hold on, he's got one pass in him. And if you go back to that game, he made that pass and I took him
Yep,
out
he
right
did.
We started acting like the Earthers were
He had technical
right.
difficulties.
away.
And Morty got up, his baby. Do you hear?
We laugh at it
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. I
But
mean,
but Ray, tell me about like modern. I just asked you the questions. Team sports, Bermuda football. As a man that, like I said, you bleed black and orange, but I know you're passionate about your country. You just said if you're local, you're not anything really. Internationally is where you make your name, put your stamp on the world. What can we do? What needs to be done?
Well, I so the associations, right? So I'll use BFA at this point, right? They are maximizing their ability to have access to funding from a national association, meaning through FIFA.
Hmm.
But Bermuda Inc. needs to step up.
Hmm.
Uh, when you look at our economy, we look at what makes up the economy. I don't feel they're playing their part. Sports is so influential. We're seeing football games start wars.
That's facts.
So, you know, I'm going to digress a little bit. We're going through an antisocial crisis right now in the country. And some of those young men are sportsmen,
Hmm.
but they see no light at the end of the tunnel. So Relati was going with this infrastructure where you build facilities for people locally to reach their true potential, not having to uproot their family, move to England, and hope something works out. Why can't we do that here? When you look at how rich we are as a country. So for me, Bermuda Inc. needs to look in the mirror because some of the things they're complaining about becoming a plague in the country, there's some positive things that can help the plague. And so my call tonight will be Bermuda Inc. Look in the mirror and see how you can reach out to the respective associations so they can take their programs to the next level. Obviously, I'm a football enthusiast, but as you highlighted, associations, period, because this is where our young people are, and allow them to excel. If they're excelling, they ain't got time to be negative.
Right.
But right now, they're not excelling because they don't see no light at the end of the tunnel.
So I have a question. Just I'm gonna be devil's advocate, I guess. Is that a case of them being asked and refusing the call, or are they not being asked?
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay, so
And
everybody could do a little more.
the act probably needs to come from the right persons,
Fair.
meaning the influential persons within the community. is where the ask needs to come from. And they, club presidents are making the call. Can you sponsor? Can you put my name on the jersey? That's not the real ask.
Right.
So we need community influences that can show the big picture of the positive impact sports can have in communities, especially a small community like Bermuda.
And I think it should be said that if anybody's watching this and you feel like you are one of these influential people that could ask and could reap the benefits for not only yourself, your children, but the association and Bermuda as a whole, go with a plan. Don't just go ask the question. Let these people know where their money's going because that's what they really want at the end of the day. They want to know where the money's going and that is being used for exactly what you say it's being used for. So yeah, I think I've always been of the opinion that it's not only the questions not being asked, but it's being refused also. But maybe if it comes from the right people, and maybe we need to tell those people, yeah, it's time to speak up. You know what I mean? Stop gatekeeping if you're doing that. I don't know specifically who you're talking about, so I'm not trying to
Yeah.
insult anybody. But
And
if
yeah,
that's the case, stop it.
and that goes for me, for all sports in Bermuda. I'm not just talking about football.
No, I agree.
It's across the board. Like, because we could have a thriving cricket team and a thriving football team, but and everybody has to up their standards. Every single person has to up their standards in every way, shape, or form.
I have a platform, so I use it. I look at things like the under 17 boys that played here this summer. Um, Curacao, they're warming up against the United States,
Yeah,
Mexico, and we're warming up against Hamilton Parish and a Dandytown team that they
right.
throw together. Which is no disrespect to Hamilton
Yeah.
Parish or Dandytown,
But that's the
but that's the
difference.
quality.
But you could even look at the difference in like this. This is a simple example. We played Canada um, in the last World Cup when COVID was on, right? Like Ray was saying, flying people all around the world, going through different hoops. We couldn't get players to come from Europe to America, but they got their players from Europe to come to America and play the game in America and all of that, right? But that's the difference in the money side of it, and they're prepared to go the extra distance for it. That's the difference. Look, the coach got paid more than our budget. That's the difference right there.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
absolutely. It's
That's what we're up against.
it is,
And
and
it's not. And to me, it's not about money. It's just about organization and getting the things right.
one of the I took it to Twitter because this, is what I do. It was just to start the conversation. One of the things that I see happening that I don't like is Jamaica have Bermuda fly to Kingston, pick them up, bring them here. They got in after midnight, take them home. And this isn't a knock of Bermuda. This is just an organizational thing that we're talking about that I see that I would like to know why we don't do. We're playing in Curacao and Trinidad, and we're flying to Miami. We're staying overnight in Miami. Lord knows what's going on in Miami. And then you're going on the next day to Trinidad. Small things like that matter. They make a huge difference. You're talking about travel time. You're talking about time on
Yeah,
planes, which we all know can
and
be
that's fair
negative.
play to Jamaica because they spent their money to do that. Flying like that is expensive because you have
Right.
to pay for the plane to go empty and come back empty. So
Hmm.
you double pay sort of thing. It's a
I would just
very
like to see
expensive.
small things like that
Yes,
change
I
because it would
understand.
be a benefit to all our teams.
Mm,
That's it's just me.
yeah,
Um,
It definitely makes sense if that if you reflect to the Gold Cup, right? That experience was unbelievable.
yeah, it was.
We finished the game next morning. We knew we were going to be taken to the airport. Got on a charter,
yep.
landed in Dallas. Never even went through customs. Matters on the tarmac. Got on the bus. Off you go. So,
Standards.
so look at that time frame versus what you said.
So
fly from her
yeah,
to her to there to
yeah.
there to get there, and then got to play within that still 72-hour window, right? So it does make a big difference, right?
And they use the planes that the NBA players
Yeah.
use. That's what we were flying on
And you were
to get
flying
from.
with other teams,
Yeah,
right? Like
you go.
Costa Rica on your flight.
Whoever we were getting ready to play against, that's who we would fly with.
Okay.
Yeah, it made sense.
Did did you know air horns are illegal in Texas sporting events?
Yeah, you guys.
There's no need to call names there, Kyle. Just asking Ray a simple question.
No, I did not know, sir.
Yeah, apparently. He almost got arrested. But
Hoodlums.
so the World Cup qualifying happens. We did make it, which I was not shocked. I feel like it was 4 years too late or 4 years too soon as far as the best team we could have put out. The team we put out had to play. It was the best group of players. Now you could tweak one or two, yes. No, I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not trying to start that argument. But the group of players was the best group that we could put out because the preparation, as you say, might not have been the way it should have been. So we could capitalize on the big three not being there. Shout out to Curacao. I know we will get maybe a point, maybe sneak a win at home. But how do we go forward? We finished this one with 1 point. How do we go forward? Do we replace the coach? Because there's calls to replace the coach from, like you said, Joe Public. As soon as we didn't make the World Cup, get rid of him. When the expectation was we're not going to make the World Cup because those teams are better than us. How do we go forward? I want to hear it from the guys that took us to the World Cup.
It all comes down to preparation. You know, one of the things for me is that I don't know how much local football the current coach watch. Like Ray could attest, when I was coaching the national team, I try to watch as many games as possible. You know, whether it was first division, premier division, all of that. You know, and I used to get sort of people used to get upset with me when I used to come and say I'm national coach, and they want me to pay to watch the games, and I'm like,
Clubs are broke, Kyle.
yeah, but that's beside the point. I'm working for my country here. You know what I mean? Like it's like saying
You can get
you're
them.
gonna charge uh England's coach to watch the players that he has to pick.
You don't know that they don't do that. But I see your point. I see.
Right, but I'm just saying that's the total like people's mindsets are wrong. You know?
Do we do a massive reset, Ray, and thank the older generation that have served us well? You guys they helped take you guys to the Gold Cup and made us all proud. Do we do a reset, go for the younger generation and just allow them to grow into being the national team?
So I mean, reset would be, I would say, with the older players. I think we missed an opportunity with the players that Carl and I introduced to the team that are around my son's age, 24, 25, because they got a taste of the previous World Cup, and you really should have been saying that's gonna have the legs,
Mm-hmm.
and then could have been supported by some of our senior players, um, because you still need experience. You can't beat experience, right?
No.
Especially ones that's been at a very high level professionally, right? Um, so that in itself was kind of strange, because the previous World Cup, like I said, was a wash because of COVID, but we were able to bleed some players to hopefully becomes the core, because you need a core.
That's
You
right.
go around the core. So the World Cup team had a core, and then all you would do was just filtering around the core. I don't think we really reestablished a core, and I think that's why you get people questioning: was it the strongest team or was it not? Because we didn't establish what that core looked like, and then just build around it. Um, yeah. To your other question, um, I think we need to educate Now I'm just talking strictly football now.
Mhm.
Football enthusiasts and influencers on what it takes to play football today. Because I read the
Explain.
blogs, I read this thing about style of play, you know, yeah. And probably prior to Lighty coming into my football career, because Lighty said something to me one day and I thought he was ludicrous until I actually sat back. Lighty's famous words is there is no right way or wrong way to play football. That's not a lot of words,
Mhm.
but there's a powerful words. When you're in the business of winning games, that philosophy will be at the forefront. If you have that philosophy at the forefront, the infrastructure and the strategy you put in place supports that. We all grew up, yeah, Tiki Taki, Barcelona, Cruyff, Ajax. And so we read the bloggers, ex players, different that. We need to develop a style of it. All this stuff.
Words.
It sounded great at a certain point, but because this has become such a business,
Mhm.
you have to have so you know I'm a businessman, right?
Yes, sir.
So if the company ain't making a profit, what does it do?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to shut that down.
Shut down and catch you later, right? So if you're not winning games, what do you do? So I say all that is that we have to educate the football influencers. There's things we added to the team. So you said Carl's the head coach. Ray James was the assistant. Scott Morton was the assistant. Suppose I tell you, in my humble opinion, we had two MVPs that I think allow us to deliver on Kyle's mission of how we were going to approach games. Two MVPs, and I'm going to share this.
Yeah.
One was a mental strength coach.
Yeah.
So be careful with that. And say psychiatrist because I know people get all in a tizzy. A mental strength coach that the players do it. I remember the first remember lady.
Mm.
You crazy. What I need that for? But by the time we were having success, they were booking their meetings with the mental strength coach because he got them to dig deep into themselves and what they need to do to be ready to play at game time. And then the other thing is what I would call the science department. And at that time, at the current time, but at the time it was great. And the Apex team. I mean, you're talking about the Mexico game. I didn't dream how we were going to compete. Greg came to a meeting and worked out the flight plan and tell us, no, you need to get there the day before. Right? But he told us, everybody got 2 weeks in advance, but you know that's not possible,
Right,
right?
because you were literally in
So
and out.
in and out. So we are able to perform and we start to feel the effects of the altitude on the way back up. I, knew, I didn't know that. I didn't know
Mm.
that. So that information is where I'm saying you're going to the next level. So this is what I'm saying we need to share with the football enthusiasts and influencers. This game now is not about ticky tacky. That's just one philosophy. It's about all these other soft skills around to have the athlete ready to perform at the most critical time. And that's when the whistle goes.
Mhm.
That's what I learned on tour. If you talk to the other coaches, oh, what you do, what you do. And some of them usually say, well, this is the creme of the creme. But they would tell us, oh, but this little product here does the same thing. It's a no brand. But we can utilize it to raise our program, right? So I say all that to say is that you just have to have a strategy. So most businesses would do a strategic plan
Mhm.
supported by operational plan for success. So I say use the World Cup cycle to develop a strategic plan with what we talk football and what football looks like today. And I'm gonna end with this because the Messiah coaches is supposed to be Pep Guardiola. You talk to people, tiki tiki. I say Pep Guardiola don't play tiki tiki taki no more. Pep Guardiola plays to win the game. And
Mhm.
sometimes Addison used to kick the ball directly to Haaland to score. Which back in the day, we used to chastise PHC because they used to go back to front and
Mm-hmm.
and us Colts and the villagers used to say, that's not football. But when he told me them words, it made me reflect, it is football. But because we had a culture of what we thought football should look like. But now at the international level, it's about winning games. You have to have a strategy to win matches.
It's a result-based industry,
Straight up.
and if you're winning games, chances are Joe Public, the sports influencers and writers, they're not gonna have much to say.
Correct.
But when you're not winning football games,
They
that's
got
when
everything.
that's when they get paid.
Yeah.
One last question I want to ask you guys because it came up upon our inability to qualify after the fourth game. We were officially knocked out. Everybody was looking at places like Cape Verde. Congratulations to them; they qualified. Curacao ended up qualifying. At one point, the Faroe Islands looked like they would qualify,
Yeah, that would have hurt me.
but I want you guys to talk about from a coaching aspect what people maybe like you said the sports writers the people that just write on the computer. I don't know if it doesn't register to them or if I'm missing something. Curacao can shop in Holland because they've had the emigration from Curacao to the Netherlands. They're Dutch, right? You know, one guy was born in Curacao that's on that team, and that's the boy Chong that played for United. Um, Cape Verde, if you look at their team sheet, Portuguese, Dutch, they're all over the place. Faroe Islands, they're all Danish because if they can't make Denmark, we can't do that. We don't have
That's
thousands and
because
thousands
no,
of Bermudians.
our immigration laws don't allow that.
But
Other countries' immigration laws allow.
so this is what I'm asking: do we have Bermudians all over the world that could qualify,
Well,
or do we have a handful that?
we have a problem that people that are born in Bermuda can't get a Bermuda
Well,
passport.
there's that too.
That's a big problem. You know,
I'm just asking the questions. I'm trying to bring the
right? So
conversation up.
that's a huge
Ray,
an immigration.
Ray looks like he wants to say something.
No, I think you hit it right on the head. I think we we hinder ourselves, and we need to modernize. Um, I don't want to make this political, but we need to modernize even how we operate as a country. We heard we need 8,000 people to come and work. So where we getting the 8,000 people from?
Couple hundred Cubans up at South Beach.
So I say that to say that to what Light is saying, the limitations in our current immigration policies and regulations. So when you turn that into sport, it will limit. And to Light's point, yeah, some people that are born here in Bermuda aren't eligible. Whereas, as you highlighted, people that's not even born, it's the grandparents or great grandparents that qualifies them. And we're aware of a few that could have been part of the setup, but just based off of the point that you're raising from an immigration perspective, it limited us from that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, when I knew a guy, Courtney Horse, who played for Aston Villa, born in Bermuda. I don't know if he had a Bermuda passport, all of that. And my good friend Dean Smith, who was the current manager of Aston Villa, I actually spoke to the guy, you know, about it, and he showed a little bit of interest, but then he got injured, so and nothing came out of it. And then after that, I went to coach, and so it's a lot of things that we look at, and it's a lot of players that have left Bermuda at a young age that has gone overseas to play football in these academies and all that, and some of them lose the way. Like, we have to keep track of these guys and be able to. Now's the time to do that drive for the next.
I agree because we finally seen, for whatever reasons, the emigration from Bermuda. There's a lot of people
It's
leaving.
been 20 years now.
Right. So we should start to see, like you said, the children that are raised in England or raised in the United States becoming of age that they could benefit us, the national team setup, but not being here. Now we run into the problem of will they show up at the last minute because you know about them and you know about them, but I don't know about them. You bring them in, and it's like, well, why is this guy getting in over my kid? That
Mm.
happened with the cricket team with David Hemp. Remember,
Yeah.
why is this guy playing for Bermuda? Where'd he come from? Well, he just made 50 against India. That's why he's playing for Bermuda. You guys, as coaches, know
Right.
what you're picking. You wouldn't pick somebody you didn't think was going to benefit us. So hopefully that's what we see. But I just don't think it's an argument right now that we could have done anything better for this World Cup qualifying from a player's point of view, because the preparation wasn't great, in my opinion. Like Ray said, it could have been better, but this was our shot.
Yeah.
We could have been pushing some people in the right places for 8 to 10 years so they were ready. It's a missed opportunity for me. Uh, that's all I will say on it. I was a little disappointed in the association on that point of view. I'm not asking you gentlemen to say anything. I'm just gonna ask you one more final question, and then we're gonna talk a little gunners. If the call was made, do we reunite the Gold Cup coaches and give it another shot? Lady?
Well, I mean, my standpoint on I reflected on my time and all the energy that I put in coaching Bermuda. Like I took that very, very serious. You know, very serious because I felt I know what the country wanted, and in the end, I felt like I was kicked in my teeth. I ain't gonna lie about it. It was a devastating moment for me, being, you know, the way it happened, and terms would have to be everything would have to be on my terms. Bottom line, every single thing. And if they can't deliver, then I don't do it.
So if there's a 20 point checklist, all 20 got to be
Yeah,
ticked.
it has to
Okay.
be.
But you're not saying no.
I won't say no to my
Okay.
country, but it has to be on my terms.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I'm more of a new person.
Okay.
But I know, I've been a sucker more than once. Um, and I say no, meaning I've answered that bell quite a few times,
Fair.
right? Um, and it's because I love my country. I feel I need to be in a different space to help us succeed. But you know, if a gunner calls a gunner,
if
there's
you
no way
need
you can tell a gunner no, right?
if you need it on the front line,
But
you will
if
show up.
if 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 it was we were putting together a new team, blah blah blah, I would be comfortable in saying no at this point in time.
But there's nothing I would love to see more. The good, like I keep saying, the Gold Cup was an experience. Qualifying for the next round, which I feel like we were close to doing when we went, would have been icing on the cake. I look at Haiti, who was our first
Mhm.
game in that tournament that you said we should have been on a few girls on, who are going to the
Yeah,
World Cup this year. Congratulations to them. We were beating them. You know what I'm saying? We were there. We were
yeah.
competing with the big boys. So
And where you highlighted Haiti, right? The two strikers,
the big
the two
fellas,
the two fellas that I got up top. So what you say it was World Cup was what 2019,
was it
18,
20,
19,
2019.
18. So in 2025, these boys are leading the line. So this is what I'm saying. You establish a core
Mm-hmm.
and build around the core. So you look at that Haiti team and look at what they had as far as age, as far as who was the youngsters. These youngsters are now become the core
Yep.
and have been adding to it to know that they were ready to be successful, right? So I mean that's just
And
basic strategy.
Haiti's been through many different coaches to
Yeah.
get to this stage. You know that's always gonna happen. Different coaches gonna come in and out. And I've watched Haiti over the years from when we coached against them in under 20s to now, and before we used to be like Haiti was the yardstick,
Mm.
and then we saw Haiti used to struggle against the United States, and like the next tier of teams, they struggled against them, and we was like, bro, this Haiti's beatable. Like we saw them struggle. That's just the arrogance within our thoughts of how we saw Haiti. We said we ran into that game. We could beat this team. We're gunning for them right from the beginning, and you know, yeah, and to be honest, fully every single coach that we coached against in the Girl Cup, they especially the Costa Rica coach, they guys sat down and talked to me for like 15 minutes and wanted to know how you get this little team to play the way you play. So that says a lot, that
You
that
tell
says
them
a
or you
lot.
tell them mind your business.
No, we spoke about football, and that's pleasing because so
No,
much work.
I think
They,
that's the biggest compliment a
yeah,
team like Costa Rica could
yeah,
pay Kyle Lightborn and Ray Jones. Like,
because
yo,
he knew they got away with one
Yeah,
that day. They
they
really
sure
sure
did.
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
You
still
know,
have the video. I have a few videos from that night. The
they should have
hotel.
had a man sent off.
Yes.
Nothing. It's God, come on, man.
You should have let Dale go up for the corner 10 minutes in. I remember that. We had a corner. We got our first corner. And, Dragon, go up for the corner. And you looked at him and said, don't you dare. And you looked over your shoulder. And I was like, hey, lady, just trying to help. I'm gonna sit here.
He cost us to get out of the.
I didn't tell him that game.
But we were there discussing something, and Dale was up in the girl mouth.
You're
And
talking
they
about the game
up.
up in the stadium, yeah.
I didn't tell him that game. I didn't tell him.
That's the Panama game, right?
Yeah, Panama.
Yeah,
The game
the one girl.
instead of
Yeah,
them beating, if they beat us 3-1,
You go
we
to
go
the
through.
goal.
I mean, it's just
And I
so
think that
hard.
should be our short term goal. And I say that like it's an easy fix, but our short term goal should be we should be in the Gold Cup every year. Or every Gold Cup. We
I
should be
agree.
looking.
I
I agree.
We
I
should be
agree.
looking.
I think it's doable. I really that's our yardstick to keep improving.
Right. And I love the fact, I don't know how you gentlemen feel that we're seeing more kids in the United States too,
See, look,
playing at high
right.
universities and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Look,
I love that because
but
England isn't the
just
be
when
all.
you're talking about that, they changed the rules on us.
Exactly.
When we got to the Gold Cup,
Mhm.
they rejigged the whole thing. They put us in, and we end up going up against Haiti in a group with Haiti.
Seedings, right? I remember that.
We
It's already preliminary when the
yes,
second time.
the
Yeah.
second time around,
We
we were supposed to play somebody like Bahamas
You were
or
supposed to be
Barbados.
A
Yeah,
division.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
To,
yeah.
all we had to do is beat them, and
They
we're
would be
back in the
back in
World
the
Cup. They rejigged the whole thing,
Yeah.
and it just we had to play Haiti to go to, and Haiti beat us.
So I tell one more question, but we're gonna keep going because I just remembered something else that you might be able to answer. You might not. Again, I'm just the host, and I ask the questions. Do we get the short end of the stick because we're an English-speaking 60,000 person island in the middle of nowhere, as opposed to a strong member, maybe Spanish-speaking could be added in there in CONCACAF? Because it seems to me, like you said, things change for Bermuda that benefit other countries. Is that because we're just a small little dot on the map, or is that just the way the world works?
I don't know the answer to that, but it always seems like because
It seems like it, doesn't it?
we're the small nation.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I'll go a step further. I don't know how you can change formats in the middle of a competition. So let's call it what you want to call it. Because the rules stated one thing. We anticipated playing a certain quality of team.
Mhm.
And upon going to the preliminaries, it got changed. Where else in the world but CONCACAF did you see such stuff? So yeah, I'm willing to put it out there because it's a real conversation.
Well, Mr. Jones, I'm not sure if you've kept abreast of the happenings of CONCACAF, but in the past, it's been a little
Well,
corrupt.
I ain't trying to go back that far.
Yeah, I know. So we can't rule out, but it did seem like we got the short end of the stick, like you said. I remember you, Lighty,
I mentioned
you were
all that.
upset
Yeah, I
Well,
was
at
well,
the
I
time.
mean, I
upset
think
about
also
that.
it's a business, right? So
Yeah.
CONCACAF, no, um, okay, it was Mexico, USA, right? You got the Gold Cup, you need them in the final balances the books, blah blah blah. Now CONCACAF is growing with TV rights, etc.
Which is
So,
lovely to
so,
see.
so now you're looking at the brand. So now you're thinking, okay, we need to start seeing things a little differently because we need the quality, right? You know, we talked about our local friendship cup,
Hmm.
right? So it's a business, and that's fine, right? If we understand it's a business, and at some point we need to keep winning games so our rankings go up, and then we're considered one of the elites in the group to benefit from being an elite in the group. Yeah, I mean, look at the World Cup, right? In the World Cup had part one, part
Yeah.
two, part three,
Yeah,
part four. So that all comes from you earned it over time, right?
Part four ain't even complete yet.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. So I think that's the evolution of CONCACAF, to be
mm,
honest. It's the mere fact the brand now is sellable
Hmm.
beyond Mexico and
Yes.
USA.
Yeah.
And to protect the brand, the, this the journey you're gonna have to take. And if you want to be part of that, win some games, get your rankings
I
up,
was,
and then you move up from part three to two,
yeah.
and hopefully one day we're in part one.
I was just gonna say, as far as this year's World or next year's World Cup, I would love to see Curacao equip themselves very well, maybe win a game or two. Haiti do the same,
mm.
because that, like you said, that
It gives you belief.
it gives the whole
Yeah,
CONCACAF region a little more.
yeah.
We're used to USA,
Say Mexico,
Yeah,
Mexico,
yeah, yeah.
Canada should do well. I felt like the coach shortchanged them in the last World Cup. You got the best left back in the world playing inside. Didn't make no sense to me. I get paid to do this, and it's not much. He gets paid to coach Canada. You said it's more than our budget. There's levels here, kids.
yeah.
But as a guy that watched the game, it didn't make any sense to me. So I honestly hope that we do, like you said, Mr. Jones. Like we're on Disney Plus. You can tune in from around the world and watch Bermuda play against whoever they're playing, Bahamas, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, on Disney Plus, which is worldwide. So that's great. You know what I'm saying? We need to build on that. We need to do our part to be a better footballing machine.
Mhm.
Get to the Gold Cup, do well again, get to the next Gold Cup, make a World Cup run. Because
Yeah,
if we ever go to the World Cup, I'm taking 3 weeks off.
it's constant, Willie. It's constant. Like it keeps going. It keeps going. You know,
And
you gotta be
with the
prepared
Gold
at
Cups
all
now,
times. But
you don't get a break.
right, but that's
You're,
where I'm
you're
saying you
right
need
back
to put
into the
that.
next
Yeah,
You need to
competition.
put that infrastructure in place. So you're like whatever you need to do to prepare, it's already there. So you're not like, oh, you know what, we're gonna do all that again. No, it's already in place.
So let's expand the BFA Center, the Clyde Best Center of Excellence. Let's put a gymnasium in there so they, gym, they get on the weights. Let's put a physio room in there so we can fix our players that break down. Let's redo the field.
Mhm.
Give Foots a big office. That's cool. Mr. Big can have a big office. We got a few more spaces. Give the coaching, they need a TV room in there, a little amphitheater. Let's do it.
I mean, honestly, you need to just go look at a League One training facility and just kind of mock that a little bit, and you'll be surprised what a League One team has.
Perfect segue. Love that from you, Kyle. That's why you're on the show. That's why you're nicknamed Killer. League One leaders tonight play at Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Nathan Trott in goal for Cardiff City. Unfortunately, 3-1 to Chelsea. But I would love the fact that one, Bermudians got to see Nathan play because League One isn't the most broadcasted league in the world. They got to see him play against one of the best teams in the world. He acquitted himself very well,
Oh yeah, he was.
despite losing 3-1. So I just want to say, on behalf of Top Ben, shout out to Nathan Chalk, Cardiff City, having a great season.
Yeah, they are.
The top of League One. Um,
Like to see him play for Bermuda.
You can say that.
Yes,
It's been asked.
several times. So, I mean, I feel we're being robbed of a player there. That's my honest opinion. Um, we need our best players uh, to play for Bermuda.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
You know?
100%. Anybody that pulls on a Bermuda jersey, I support. Let her horns off in an awesome hotel. But the three of us, we're missing JC tonight. Mr. Parlay pays me. His outspending his winnings at some high class function that we couldn't attend. So shout out to Jordan. Um, our goals are a little loftier. We're all Gunners. We're currently riding on top of the Premier League. Ray, can Arsenal win the league?
Most definitely.
Ray, will Arsenal win the league?
I believe they will.
I like the confidence. I'm not.
But that's that. Yeah, I'm not 100% that we will win the league. We need we need to put the foot down again.
I think this week is a big week for us because we've had the week off for the first time since August, the midweek.
Mm,
We haven't had any games. Hopefully, we can get some players rested. I have always said, and I will continue to always say, the biggest obstacle Arsenal face in trying to win any trophy is Mikel Arteta. He let me down on Saturday. Two own goals against Wolves. I don't care if we don't score another goal for the rest of the season, but we win the games. Cool. I just want to win the league. I want to win trophies. But Ben White has come back from injuries. He was out for 6 months. He's finally back. He's playing well, and you put him in for 490s in the span of 10 days. Look what he does. Pops a hamstring. He's out for a month. I just think Arteta is the
I was
biggest.
wondering why Lewis Kelly didn't play. I on Saturday.
Hmm.
It didn't make no sense to me.
I like that he does rotate, but I don't think he rotates enough or the most intelligent way.
What has that guy done to Arteta? I don't know. I mean, California's been very good for us this year, but he was suspended. You would think he'd bring him in,
Your left back plays left
and
back.
yeah, I mean, we were poor Saturday,
Yeah, but I expected it.
really poor.
We turned
And
up with this Wolves will beat them attitude.
Well,
yeah,
no, I don't think, I'm not even sure if it's that, but I think there's a part of sports. This is what I'm saying. We have to educate these sports enthusiasts and whatnot, right? The psychological part of sports is so critical.
Mm-hmm.
The weak, and what discounted it, right? The mentality you had to have to play a North London derby,
Oh yeah,
Bayern Munich,
Chelsea.
and Chelsea in a space of 7 days, 7, 8 days, right?
Yeah.
Where you need to be mentally. And then there was no break to kind of go,
Mm-hmm.
you had to go again. And to your point, hopefully this week now is used wisely to recalibrate mentally, right? When I look at it as a, right, because we don't follow Crystal Palace,
yeah, yeah,
right?
I agree. With you.
Well, we didn't see his ebbs and flows,
Yeah,
right? But as they can take a week off at the Gunners,
No.
where he could take a week off at Crystal Palace because their expectation is different. So now you get people like, oh, what's going on there? So he's now got to have to prepare himself. First of all, now we play a Champions League football to
Mm-hmm.
start with. Now we play the North London Derby. Right. You understand where I'm
Yeah,
coming from?
he,
So,
he
so,
got a lot
so
more space playing for Palace
but,
because he
no, but
wasn't
not only
playing.
that, but I think it was more, well, I think mentally to take himself there that many times in a short period of time. I think in the second half of the season, we're going to see the best of that. Because I think he's still adjusting
yeah,
to being in a big team
Mm-hmm.
where there ain't no weeks off because the expectation is to win something.
and I hope that's the same for Jokeris because I don't think it started yet.
He, to me, the injury came at the wrong time because he brought the game was the best he had played.
Yeah,
He
He
looked
was.
yeah,
fit. He looked
Yeah.
sharp. You know what I mean? He showed what he was really about.
yeah.
And
He was coming
people
on.
would say Burnley, but no, it was if you follow football,
No, I
you
agree.
can see his mechanics. To me, right now, if I be honest, it looks like he's still injured. If you go back and look at the Burnley game, how he shots down
Mm.
the opponents, how he runs freely. If you look at him since he's been back, he hasn't been running freely. He's running like with a little handbrake, which
Mm-hmm.
tells me it's not 100, if you understand
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
got you.
saying, right? So that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping this week is used wisely. You know what I mean? Because I think it's just a recalibration needed. And then, you look at the body language of Declan Rice. I'm saying, well, now God lead us. Because Rice was pissed off. Everybody else was happy with the victory.
Yeah.
He weren't hurting. And that's what's been missing. The old Tony Adams in the dressing room in our successful recent time, that type of thing. The Patrick Vieira's, you know what I mean? Of that ain't good enough, even though you won. That's what no slight to Odegaard, but he is a different type of leader. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
we
could
need
press
that
the
leader.
reset button
Yeah,
and
and
go again.
yeah, so
I mean, I a lot of people. I'm always a little skeptical of Arsenal, whether we're going to win the league or not. I think we're good enough to win trophies. But win the league, we always tend to have those moments that, like Saturday's game, that will derail for a couple games. But that's the one that done the damage. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So we got away with it. We can't have the moments again. Like I mean, it's such a tough league. Look at City. City's lost a few games this year, but they're right there. You know what I mean?
but I think also what I've seen this year that we haven't seen in quite a time. Young forwards and still being first. Now your two best center backs, first time ever not playing, and one of them in 3 years, and you're still in first. We in a crumble.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. In fact, let's just go back to last year. When we went through that, Liverpool pulled away, and then the gap was too big.
Yeah.
So it's psychologically, you're like, oh, I'm never going to be able to, blah, blah, blah. This year, we're going through the same trials and tribulations, and you're still where you need to be. And that's the difference. I think, you know, hats off to Barca, man. You got to give him man his praises
Oh
because
yeah.
he was not shy this summer. I remember me and Lady was talking, and he was wondering why we hadn't. I call Jocker as the gunman. Why we hadn't pulled the trigger, And it's the timing is all done to that balance sheet. See,
Mm-hmm.
when a certain date goes by, you can start spending again, and you can
Yes,
be
sir.
sure once that date went by, we went back wall in the trash remonger, right? And it was different. Well, 1 minute was linked, next minute the sign. Where before it would drag on and on and on.
And I must say, because we haven't spoke, Matarake signing, like I
Yeah,
weren't pleased with
yeah,
that
yeah.
signing at all.
I don't think any gonna
But
any gonna.
he has shown his worth.
I think the Madueke signing, he got heat more so not because we signed him, but when we signed him.
Yeah.
We needed a striker, and we're signing another quote unquote Chelsea reject
Mm.
winger. You know what I mean? So if we'd have signed Yacarez or whoever, and
Yeah.
then him,
Yeah.
it probably would have been received a lot better. He might have got a little stick because the Chelsea thing don't seem to work for us, but the timing of it didn't help him specifically.
Yeah.
And also who he was linked with, Rodrigo and Real Madrid. So
Yeah, it was never happening.
everybody was saying, well, why would you spend 40
No,
something?
no, and remember, Eze, we're like,
Yeah, yeah,
Eze,
yeah.
bro, Eze. And then they pulled the trigger on Eze.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm so pleased that we have him.
Oh yeah. Um, you mentioned City. City are just doing what City do,
Yeah.
cruising along. Palace offered a little resistance, but in the end, it looks comfortable.
Once City
3-0.
got that girl, you know. It was,
Literally one shot,
yeah.
and Foden's on fire right now.
Yeah, he is.
Anything he shoots
But
goes
I
in.
must say that guy, Sharky, what's his
Turkey,
name?
yeah, he's a good player.
Oh my God, this guy is just growing and growing on me. He reminds me of Santi Cazorla. He's like that type of player. You don't know if it's left footed, right footed, what like I thought he was a pure left footed player, and then I'm saying this guy.
So for me, I'm not convinced with City until they come through this Christmas shit, high quality shit,
Hmm.
right?
Not as bad as it usually is.
Mhm.
It's not as bad as it usually
Well,
is,
I'm just saying, meaning,
where every team's playing 4 games in 8 days. They
right? And
separate a bit.
yeah, but these guys have come from leagues that take winter breaks,
Yeah.
right? So City beat Wolves second week of the season. Oh yeah, I see this game run over here. And my friends, I said, Wolves, these guys are gonna adjust to the league, and the very next week they lost. And I'm like, oh, I said, yeah, because the EPL, there's no week off. So we, the runners, experienced it this week. Top playing bottom.
Yep.
It's probably the only league in the world where that can happen, right? When you look at La Liga, if Barca, Real, Athletic is playing somebody on the bottom, you pretty much know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So the winter part is, to me, if City come through the winter part and steal our run, then I say, yeah, they're back. Because those players are going to adjust to that little winter vibe where, they don't have their feet up, go to Dubai, chill out, come back, recharge in January, versus you got to hit the grind. It's cool. It's rain. Go to, my lady could tell you from this experience, go to some places you don't want to go to on a Tuesday, Wednesday night.
I've I've been to a cold Tuesday night in Stoke. It's not fun. It's not
Look,
fun
I
to
had
watch.
plenty of them.
And
Look,
for
I
me, if City comes out of this December patch still around, leading or close by, then I change my mind because those players need the adjustment, right? And that's normally the telling point for me because right now he's got his full score back pretty much,
Hmm.
and the flag.
He does rotate well.
He,
He does.
he stopped rotating when he went in the form. Go look at the team. He's been playing the same because that's where his success is, right? So I'm saying, no, come December,
Yeah. No, I agree.
where you got to figure out. Ferguson had it done to a science. Hate to big up the United people, but Fergie had it to a science. He knew which games to gamble on to rest his key players, and that's why United were always fresh from March on.
Yep.
And that's what made Fergie Fergie, like at the end of the day, right? So
What do we all think of real quick of the Salah situation? Disrespected, warranted?
um, I haven't really been paying attention to it. Not until this weekend. I think it's been such a great servant for that club that he deserves. If he's gonna leave the club, he deserves a proper sending off. All of that. Without him, they don't win those trophies that they won. It's it's carried their team as far as goes, and it's had to do it with multiple partners. Like meaning it was um
yeah, the front,
the front. What's the other guy name that was with him before? Money,
Mane,
and then it was Diaz.
Nunez.
that was Money and Firmino.
Yeah.
Right,
That was
and
that was
now,
that.
but
Then
I'm
it
saying,
was Nunez and
and you can't forget the lad that passed away. I think he's had an
Jota.
effect on that club
oh yeah,
as well.
definitely,
You
definitely.
know, unfortunate. But I think he deserves a great sending off in the right way. If it's gonna aim for him at Liverpool, like it is a Premier League legend to me.
Yeah, I knew. I didn't follow it closely, but what was ironic, it seemed like the conversation that needed to be had was finally had. And who I blame for that? Is that on the coach?
Mm.
Or is that on Salah? And the reason why I say that, you watched the game this weekend. The decision Salah was making with the ball, he wasn't making prior to that game.
Mm.
So obviously, the coach and him sat down, and the coach must have said, "This is what I expect." So to me, why you didn't have that conversation in the beginning, and you wait till the results go south, where it appears you're blaming the player, but maybe there needed to be a conversation because even his tracking back was different in the game this weekend compared to
Right.
previous, where he hangs out at the halfway line, blah 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 blah, right? So that's what it looked like to me without really following it because I wasn't following it closely,
Yeah.
and I just heard he ain't playing. He had a little public outburst, cool. the Jamie Carragher show, he chimed in with his
Speaking
foolishness.
of people that
But
get
then
paid.
I happened to watch him this weekend, and I'm looking how his game looks different. I'm like, that looks like the conversation needed to take place,
Hmm.
and it just didn't take place. So
And I think the coach benefited from when he got there. Salah was on an absolute heater for the first
yeah,
6 months of last year.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
don't have a
yeah.
conversation
Right
because
for real.
literally everything
Yeah,
you're doing is right.
but that's why I'm surprised with like I mean Liverpool they've been off the pace. They started the season like we
First
spoke
5 games,
about.
they were great.
They were winning games when they could have lost
So
them.
are
The
were
first
they were
five
they
games,
were they
right?
great or were
No,
they lucky?
I mean from
But they
public
were
eye,
From a result
they were top of the
perspective,
league. They were
yes.
yeah.
winning games. They're great. And
But
it's
the
like, no, they're
in-game
not.
changes that the manager was doing allowed them to win them games. I have to give him credit for that because he changed the game against Arsenal.
Hmm.
When he brought on Curtis Jones and they had more in players in midfield and they dominated the game after that. Because Arsenal had a spell with both really ripping into it, right? Like got this fear about Anfield. And
No, it's not just that. I think this
it's
is
the
for
top teams
it's
that we play
for you
against.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I think that's the last piece for Arteta.
Yeah.
You're coaching at a top club, be a top club, right?
So
And so I'm saying you go to Anfield,
Go to win.
and I look at that team sheet, and I have done the business that I've done. I am not going to Anfield worried about Liverpool. No disrespect to Anfield, but I think the whole playing the brand versus the game, and that's
Mhm.
where he suffers. City at Arsenal, you played the brand. I was at that game, and the one time in the game because you were losing, you decided go for it. You shared the floors. City here. I'm saying you're at half. You got this big squad now. This squad can compete,
right.
right?
And that you're absolutely right because when you look at us playing against Chelsea, we don't fear Chelsea.
Right, right.
You know, at this present moment, Chelsea beat us over the years under Mourinho and all that, but at this present time, we earn Chelsea.
Yeah, yeah.
Chelsea outplayed us the other day and all that.
Beat us 1-1.
Yeah, they beat us. They beat us
Very
1-1 because they had 10 men, all of that. But I'm gonna tell you, I spoke to oh Swan, Kim Swan. He's a big Chelsea fan, so I see him at the golf course, and I said to him, I said, "That's gonna take Chelsea 3 games to recover from
yeah,
that."
yeah.
And it's like, what are you talking about? I said, watch the next couple of results. They put so much into that game.
But that goes back to what Ray said about the week Arsenal had. Chelsea had the same week. They
Yeah.
played Barcelona. They played us. They were
Yes.
up hurt. Mentally,
Yeah.
they were hurt. And like you said,
Yeah.
you gotta come
Come
down.
down. Gotta come
And
down.
they haven't, the same as us, they haven't had a chance to reset.
Reset.
So, like you said, that
And
level dropped,
that's the
and we
best
gotta.
I'm seeing Chelsea play
Me
against
too.
Arsenal in a long,
If Chelsea
long
play like
time.
that every game, they would be in the
Yeah.
title race comfortably.
But
And that,
Chelsea,
don't
Chelsea,
forget, we had Aston Villa after that.
Chelsea,
Yeah, and then
Chelsea,
Bruce.
Chelsea did a Arteta, right? I mean Arteta surprise Pep and went man for man all lady pitch. You can tell Arteta didn't expect that from Chelsea, and
Mhm.
nor did the players.
Nope.
And I think that's why Chelsea lost the game. Right?
Mhm.
But at that time, when we went City, I think they ended up beating us 1-0. Might have been the FA Cup game or something. And we went man for man, and
Yeah.
we couldn't figure it out for the longest,
Mm.
right? And I think that's what happened to us at Stamford Bridge. I don't think anybody would envision that Chelsea was going to come and roll out like that. So I don't think that's sustainable for them with the players that they have. So they could probably do that a few times during the season, but I don't think they could do that week in, week out, to be honest.
Yeah,
Good
Ken
job.
Swan came back to me and said, "Yeah, man, my team struggled after that." I said, "Hey,
Oh, I got
I'm
Cole
seeing it
Palmer back,
happen."
so we'll see.
Yeah.
Did anybody catch the game? Real quick, we'll wrap up. Anybody catch the game yesterday?
Yep.
Bournemouth and United.
I did.
No. Is that a situation like a one-off, or is that just showing the Premier League where it's wide open. There's a lot of goals, but it's because the teams just aren't that good. You know, it's exciting to watch, but tactically it was pretty awful.
Yeah, that was a great game to watch for the neutral. Me being
Yeah,
a neutral, I was pleased with that game. You know, Man United, it just shows the problems that they have with that system. I mean, it was a lot of talk of they went 4-4-2, but for large periods in that game, they played with three at the back. They did tweak it at the end, but it's too many gaps in the center of midfield between the defense and midfield. And um, listening to those guys after the game, I think it was Michael Carrick was it, and Michael Owen. That's what United have to sort it out defensively. I think going forward they're decent, but you're asking for a lot of your flair players in Ahmad. He's a winger. You're playing him at wingback, right? And he's doing a job for you. He's still scoring goals and still creating, but that wingback has to have a mind, defensive mind, especially in the Premier League. And too many times United come back, they're like last ditch tackles from players that are not defenders. Like look at Bruno. Bruno is such a good player. He is a world class player. But you see him diving at people in his own box. You know what I mean? You don't see that from other players. And even Ahmad going back, his little deflection caused for the fourth goal. He's one of them players that's in there. Yes, he has to go and do that defending because that's the position he's playing.
didn't see
Like
it.
I didn't see the game.
Yeah, it was wide open, wide open.
I mean, it could have been 6-6.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
to Ray's point, that's the way. Two things. I would love to see us go play with the attacking impetus that Bournemouth played with, but United aren't going to play that wide open against Arsenal. It's not going to happen. So it's 6 to 1, half dozen
Yeah.
of the other. I love to see us go there and score four, but United going to set up shop and not let
Yeah,
us.
and we
Well,
also
I
have
mean,
to.
I'm gonna say something that people probably think I'm crazy, right? But we had the player to unlock the little block,
Oh
and
yeah,
Mike being our best player has to come off the bench. The player we spoke about earlier, that we none of us were excited about the transfer, but that's what's been missing. You play a little block, you need a dribbler that can dribble
hmm
to draw players. Soccer dribbles, but he don't. You know what I mean? He don't.
he starts with 3 players on him,
Right. Whereas
so he's not drawing anybody.
Nani can, which would then create the gaps you're looking at, right? I've said that some people say you're crazy, that's your best player, but at certain times he'll be more effective coming
Mhm.
on after the fact because that dribbler, I mean, you remember from every player for
Yeah.
the dribbler, low block and mid block, that's the guy that unlocks he unlocks it for you, right?
You
So
know who else?
Just name one person in Bermuda that I played with was able to do that. Kenny Mills, dribbler, like you say, like
he unlocks it.
it's gonna hurt you at some point.
One person I think is actually going to make Arsenal a lot better, and he's quietly underappreciated by our fans, is Havertz.
Oh,
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
yeah, he
When
brings
you see him live, like here's another one that was like another player from Chelsea,
Uh,
but he,
Remember, he went on a run of
yeah,
12 and 15.
yeah,
he probably would have got 20 last year if he didn't pick that injury up in January.
Yeah, if his hamstring didn't explode. But, I mean, last year I was ready to sign up. Mr. Jones can speak about my strike rate. It's pretty good. That's all I'm going to say. This year, I feel like we have the depth. I feel like City have the talent. I feel like Chelsea are going to hang around. And then I feel like fourth to eighth is just a crapshoot
yeah,
because everybody's so inconsistent. United are scared of the top four because every time they got a chance, They draw 4-4 at home. Jordan said it yesterday. West Ham, Everton, and Bournemouth at home, and they got what 1 point or 2 points or something. That's not good enough. So, one thing I do like about Arsenal is, like you said, Ray, they're they're finding a way now. It doesn't have to be pretty. Nobody cares if we won
No,
one
the
home
game
goals.
on Saturday was all about 3 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
We
got
got the 3 points. Let's forget that game and move on to Everton. That's
that's
another
another
beast.
tough one.
Yeah, it's another tough
Yeah,
one.
it's gonna be,
One thing I could say that one of their best players will be going on
Yeah.
African duty. Maybe two of their players will be going on African duty. And
Just a random question. Do you watch the
I
afternoon?
try if it tends to come on like middle of the day,
Yeah.
but if
yeah,
I'm
I watch
in,
it. I watch it a bit.
Yeah.
I
I do too. I mean,
it's a slower paced game
it is.
because of the heat,
You
obviously.
you see some sights and
Yeah, you see some crazy
and you
stuff
see
there.
some crazy stuff. But
Yeah,
I tend to watch any football that's on TV at least at the start. But that's gonna wrap up our show. Bit of a long one today. We appreciate everybody
worth it though.
tuning in. Some great conversation tonight. Ray Jones, anything you would like to say before we log off?
And I'm just appreciative to be on the show and keep up the good stuff. And yeah, wish Lady all the best. Hopefully a second and I'm first.
Yeah,
Bang.
I won't mind that. First season back at Zebras. We still got a lot of work to do. We're in the race. It's the race is starting. It's just we're halfway. Ray's got one more game to play for the first half of the season, and they win that game, they'll be top by 2 points. So 2 points over Dannytown and 3 points over PAC, which
Everybody's got to play each other
do.
twice.
Yeah, everybody's got to play one another twice, and
Real quick, who's your game in hand against? Okay, draw specialist recently. Twan just can't seem to get the three, but he'll get the one.
yeah, I watched Patrick play against Village the other night, and they were unfortunate that they didn't win that game. They were good. Yeah, they actually playing football. It weren't no fluke or
Yeah,
anything. And Village, they
found a way.
they found a way.
No, I just say the business end of the seasons come January. It's going to be interesting for my crew. Um, Last year, the core, as you say, we fell off right at the real business end. So hopefully the players that we brought in can get us there and keep us fighting right to the end. Obviously, Danny Tom's been there. If you look at the players that's there, they got Angelo back out.
See that scored this weekend.
Has led the line to many of their titles. You got, Dante at the back, good, so a bit more experience to continue on their trajectory. The PAC legacy, Lenny and Sequoia, both former players, captains, lifted many trophies, and obviously North Village has been more recent times of having success. So we're the new boys in the hot pot, and yeah, so it's a ride that my players would need to rise up to. But I think they're up for it, just to see where it all falls out at the end. But it's gonna be interesting second half. I mean, to have four teams legitly
To have a title race.
right?
Mhm.
I think last year um, it was Village Town and then Zebras at the half where everybody was kind of jockeying and saying, the rest of us was sniffing, but it wasn't this, bunched up like it is now, right? So, yeah, so I just think it sets up for an interesting second half of the season. And
Points are hard to come by second half of the season.
I just wish
A
all
lot
the
harder.
teams success. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Obviously, I want to win, but I wish all, the teams success in 2026, and hopefully the quality of football is at a level that the fans come out and enjoy it. And I think that's important.
Well, there you have it, folks. Top Ends, episode 11, season 2. Coach Ray Jones, Devonshire Colts. He's wishing everybody the best, but he hopes they are the rest as his team takes the championship. I would expect nothing more from any of the coaches in the Premier League. The winners. And if you want to win, that's what you want to do. Second place isn't good enough. So we wish Devonshire Colts all the best in the rest of the season, Mr. Jones. I'll get out to more games in the second half. We want to shout out to the Bermuda Football Association for giving us the league to enjoy on Sundays. But it comes down to each and every one of you. Come out, support. Even if you don't like a certain team, just show up, pay your $10, and cheer against them. If you pay your $10, you can do what you want respectfully. Respectfully. But let's support the clubs. We saw yesterday the premier and his cabinet were giving out the grants to the clubs, the community clubs. A lot of community clubs benefit that. I think every club got what they asked for, which is amazing. Hopefully, they can put that money to good use. But come out and support these clubs, man. These football clubs can really use some money. They all have youth programs that do phenomenal things. So come out, support local football, support your friends, your family, your cousins, your aunties, your brothers, everybody who's involved at these places. And let's make Bermuda a better place sports wise. And then we will see the social change for the better as well. So that's Top End signing off. Just want to say once again, stay Irie.